what is going on, guys? Welcome back to another Pokemon Moon battle. So I went back to the battle spot and I found another 3v3. So I've got a couple of them to upload in today's episode. My first opponent called Caden, and as you can see, he's got a Solgaleo, Zygarde, and Hooper Unbound. So let's go ahead and jump into it. I'm actually going to lead off with my Necrozma. He's going to actually lead off with his Solgaleo. So he's going to send out his sunburnt Solgaleo, definitely not hacked. It's pretty red, I don't like the shiny, but nonetheless he's actually going to go straight for a Sunsteel Strike. So I'm not going to muck around, I am facing 3 legendaries. I'm actually going to pretty much go for my Z move right after this. So there's my Z move. I am rocking the Darkanian Z, so I'm going to go for a Black Hole Eclipse. So I'm just going to basically throw him into a black hole and do extremely massive damage. Unfortunately he does leave it, so at this point I'm actually going to switch out my Necrozma. I'm going to send in my Arcanine. So let's get the Intimidate off. He's going to go for another Sunsteel Strike. Obviously the Full Metal Bottle is not going to infect my Intimidate. But I should be able to leave this rather easily. It does no damage whatsoever to my Arcanine. So I take that very well, and I'm just going to go straight for an extreme speed here and finish off that Solgaleo who's been left in the sun for way too long. So at this point he's actually going to send out his Zygarde, and it's a beautiful shiny Zygarde. This is the first shiny Zygarde I've ever encountered in my Pokemon career, so it does look very nice. He's going to go for 1,000 arrows. But because I am defense invested, I do leave that. I'm actually going to go straight for the Will-O-Wisp and get the burn off this thing. So I do manage to burn it, that's fantastic. At this point I'm actually going to switch out into my Aerodactyl. So because I am new to the Pokemon Moon competitive battle, I had no idea that 1,000 arrows is actually super effective on flying type. So that's something I have to learn moving forward. But anyway, I'm actually going to Mega Evolve here. I'm going to actually withdraw my Aerodactyl now and go straight into my Arcanine just to get off that other Intimidate. So he's pretty much at -3 attack now. He's going to finish off my Arcanine, but that's perfectly fine. So burn damage is starting to rack up very nicely. I'm going to send that on the Necrozma now. So as you guys can see, that pretty much does no damage, being at -3 attack, so I do leave that very nicely. I'm going to go pretty much straight for a Psychic here. So I probably should have gone for a Psychic there, but I was actually pretty much worried about the Hooper switch in, so I just went for a Dark Pulse anyway. But regardless, the burn's going to take out the Zygarde, so I only have the Hooper Unbound to deal with now. So he's going to go straight for the Shadow Ball, and that's definitely going to be able to take out my Necrozma. So at this point we're pretty much down to one Pokemon each. I've still got my Aerodactyl in the background, and I'm just going to Mega Evolve here. So the only way I'm kind of hoping to win is through Rock Slide flinches. This is a very gimmicky flinch set, and you can see that it does a ton of damage, and luckily I do get the flinch as well. So I'm just going to go for a Fly now, just in case I miss the Rock Slide. He's going to go for a Focus Blast, so obviously avoid that because I'm high up in the sky. And there's the Fly. So that was the first battle of the video, a rather good one. I actually enjoyed that one. So let's go ahead and jump right into the second battle right now. Alright guys, so here's the second battle. I am versing a trainer from the stage called Radman. He does have some pretty threatening Pokemon. He's got the Greninja, a Blaziken, I don't know if it's a Mega Blaziken, and the Articuno. So I pretty much decided to lead off with my Milotic. So let's go ahead and see how we went anyway. So the reason I wanted to lead off with my Milotic is because in case he decides to lead off with his Greninja, my Milotic can definitely tank a few attacks from a Greninja. So he does lead off with the Greninja. So he's going to actually go for a Grass Knot. And even though I am specially defensive, that does about 60% damage to me. So not a great start. I'm just going to go straight for the Toxic anyway. So after really thinking, I actually just decided to let him kill my Milotic. I mean, I hate to do it, but I'd rather get a fresh switch in. That was a crit, but didn't matter anyway. I decided to get a fresh switch in on this Greninja instead of taking some damage. So at this point, I'm actually going to send out my Aerodactyl and go straight for the Mega Evolution. The good thing about Generation 7 is that as soon as you Mega Evolve, the stats are added automatically. So I am able to outspeed, and I pretty much go straight for the Fire Fang because he is a Grass type now, and that takes out his Greninja. And the crit didn't really matter anyway, but down goes his Greninja. So he's actually going to send out his Articuno now. Not the best switch in for me because I do have Rock Slide, which is 4 times effective on a Flying and Ice type. He's going to go for the Protect just to scout out what I'm going to do anyway. So after seeing that I do have Rock Slide, he still decides to stay in. There's pretty much nothing you can do anyway because a Rock Slide on a Blaziken is still going to do a ton of damage. That crit didn't matter as well. So one Pokemon down, he's got the Blaziken left. So at this point, he's actually going to go for a Protect. I decided to go for a Fly. The reason being because I've battled Blazikens for 8-9 years now, and I know they like to protect and speed boost, so I just went straight for the Fly. But as you can see, he actually gets a double Protect, so that's very lucky, 50-50 chance. He did manage to land it, so he does have a +2 in speed now. So at this point, I'm actually going to go for a Rock Slide. So because I am a jolly Aerodactyl, I still managed to outspeed it, surprisingly. And I do get the flinch as well. So he's at +3 now. I'm pretty sure he can outspeed me at this point. He's going to go for another Protect. So he's just going to go for a Brick Break, and that's pretty much neutral damage. And I'm just going to go ahead and go for a Rock Slide. But as you can see, the Rock Slide actually misses. Probably the most crucial time. He's going to go for another Brick Break. And he's actually going to take out my Aerodactyl. But that's perfectly fine. So I'm going to send out my Ampharos now. And I am fully invested in HP, so I do get the quick claw activation anyway. And I'm just pretty much going to go for a Volt Switch and take out the Blaziken. So that was the second match. Not as interesting as the first one, but we had a few hacks working in both our favors. So let's go ahead and jump into the third battle now anyway. Alright guys, this is the fourth and final battle of this upload. So I'm versing a trainer from Japan and he's rocking Ubers, he's got a Greninja. What I'm guessing is a Mega Kangaskhan and a Xerneas. I do have my Aerodactyl, my Lotic and my Arcanine. So let's just jump right into it. So at this point what I wanted to do is I'm going to actually lead off with my Aerodactyl. He's actually going to lead off with his Greninja here. So what I want to do, I'm actually going to switch out straight into my Milotic because I know Milotic can take whatever Greninja wants to throw at it. So out comes my defensive, special defensive Milotic. He's going to go straight for the Ice Beam here. And after the leftovers recovery, that's going to do nothing. My Milotic's just going to shrug that off like no damage at all. So at this point what I want to do, I was expecting the Grass Knot, so I went for a Ice Beam just to get some more damage off this Greninja. However, it actually turns into, switches out into Xerneas. So this is the biggest threat on his team. I went for an Ice Beam and luckily for me, as you guys can see, he actually gets frozen. So that's a shame for him. Very lucky for me because I pretty much had no other way to deal with this Xerneas anyway. So I'm going to pretty much keep going for a Ice Beam. I don't want to click Scald because Scald will thaw it out. He's frozen now for the second or third turn. Keep going for the Ice Beam. And he's still frozen, unfortunately. Xerneas standing out here looking like a popsicle. And I'm going to go for another Ice Beam here. And pretty much, unfortunately for him, he still stays frozen. I'm just going to fire off the Scald. And Xerneas has gone down, done nothing in this battle. And to be honest, that wasn't skill on my part. That was sheer luck. Anyway, he's actually going to send out the Kangaskhan here. So I'm going to switch out into my Arcanine just to get the Intimidate off. So there's my defensive wall. I get the Intimidate. And of course it's a Mega Kangaskhan. So it turns out I was actually carrying the Rock Tomb. And it doesn't do too much damage after Intimidate. I do decide to stay in and go for the Will-O-Wisp anyway because I do want to burn the Kangaskhan. But he decides to actually switch out into his Greninja now. So I do go for the Will-O-Wisp and I do land it. So at this point what I want to do is I'm actually going to switch out back into my Milotic. So I do get the burn, but it doesn't really matter. So in Generation 7 they did actually nerf burn to do less damage than what it usually did in Generation 6. So I'm pretty much, basically makes my leftovers redundant, but regardless anyway, he's actually going to go for a Gunk Shot now. I'm not going to do any damage at all because of the burn. I'm just going to go for a Scald anyway. So it does land the Gunk Shot this time. Doesn't do too much damage. I'm just going to keep going for the Scald. So he decided to go for a Rock Tomb, which is not a very smart move, because I do have the competitive ability. So what that's going to do, it's actually going to give me a +4 in special attack. And I do absolutely love that ability from the low tick. It does come in clutch most of the time throughout most battles. So I'm just going to go for a Scold anyway, and at +4 it does a ton of damage. And unfortunately for him, I do get the burn as well. So he's just going to go for a Crunch anyway. And I'm just going to finish him off with the Ice Beam. So I really hope you guys enjoyed these 4 battles that I had very recently. I'll try to upload a little more regularly, guys. Just to let you know, I am actually going to start playing Pokemon Shining Pearl very soon. So stay tuned for my walkthrough on that, and I'll catch you guys next time. Alright guys, let's jump into the 3rd battle now. So my opponent is also from the States called Rashi. He does have a Galvantula, a Caracosta, and a Flygon. This one was a lot more interesting than the last 2 battles, so let's go ahead and see how he went anyway. So I expected him to lead off with his Galvantula. Generally that's a great lead with the Focus Sash, Sticky Webs and whatnot. I actually went for my Necrozma. So he does decide to lead off with the Galvantula. I actually pretty much wanted to switch out into my Arcanine now, just in case he decides to go for a Signal Beam or a Bug Buzz. I don't want to lose my Necrozma so early in the game. So he does actually go for a Signal Beam. And even though I resist it, it does a decent amount of damage. I expect him to go for either Sticky Webs now, so he does go for a Sticky Webs. I'm pretty much going to finish this thing off with a Flare Blitz. So Focus Sash per usual. It doesn't really matter anyway, because I'm just going to go for an Extreme Speed now and take it out. So the Galvantula is down. Unfortunately the Sticky Webs is up, so it's going to reduce my speed. It's actually going to send out his Flygon now. So what I decide to do, I'm actually going to send out my Decidueye. I know I can at least tank a couple of Earthquakes. So judging by that damage, I think he's Choice Banded. I'm going to go straight for the Sucker Punch here anyway, just to get some chip damage off on this thing. Take a bit of Life Orb recoil. He's going to go for another Earthquake because he is Choice Banded, as I said. And at this point, I should have probably gone for another Sucker Punch. I was expecting him to switch. But he stayed in anyway, and unfortunately it is enough to take out my Decidueye. So anyway, I'm going to send in my Arcanine now just to get the Intimidate off. So there's the Intimidate. At this point I do want to go for a Will-O-Wisp. I am, as you guys probably know, I am invested in defense and max HP. So I do actually live that Earthquake on 15 HP, and luckily I do land the Will-O-Wisp. So that Flygon is pretty crippled now. So in seeing that, what I want to do, I'm actually going to switch out into my Necrozma now. Definitely going to be able to take Earthquakes a lot better now that the Flygon is burnt. So I'm just going to pretty much fire off a Psychic now. And the Psychic is enough to take out the Flygon, so it's pretty much down to one Pokemon. the Caracosta. And this thing can be very scary. They do set up Shell Smash and whatnot. He's actually going to go straight into my Z move. I want to get as much damage as I can off on this thing. So I'm going to go for a Black Hole Eclipse. So he does go for a Shell Smash now. So at this point, what I want to do, I do have a plan. I do want to send in my Arcanine just to get the Intimidate off. I'd rather be make him at least maybe +1 attack as opposed to +2. So there's the Intimidate, and he's just going to go straight for a Crunch now and finish off my Arcanine. So my last Pokemon, we're all down to our last Pokemon, and I'm pretty confident I can take a +1 Crunch because of Necrozma's ability. So he's going to use a Crunch, and luckily I survive it on 5 HP, and I fire off the Psychic, and that's Turtle Soup for everyone served up. So that was the third battle. I found that battle rather interesting. Let's go ahead and do one more battle, guys, and then we'll end the video.